Hey, what's up? It's Phoenix. I'm really excited because today I'm going to read from my latest book, Roughhouse. I'm really excited about this book, which you can find on Amazon. I will put the link to my author page in the description. You can also find this excerpt that I'm going to be read on my Substack, which I will also put the link to that in the description as well. So yeah, without further ado, here it is. This excerpt is from my chapter called Double Mind. Enjoy. Philip Kindred Dick is one of my favorite writers, ever. His science fiction novels rank in my mind as some of the best sci fi ever written, but he is also a very good stylist, often using words in super original and poetic ways, coining concepts and ideas, and in general, just being super creative with his plots and characters and all the stories he tells. It is about experiencing an altered state or an alternate consciousness, and I find that intriguing. In his book, A Scanner Darkly, he posits a very interesting idea that I think is actually taken seriously scientifically. It is the idea that people can have multiple minds, where, because the mind is already two hemispheres, it could be argued that we have and could have two minds at least, and that the two minds are in conflict with each other. One side doesn't know what the other side is doing. Fascinated by the ideas that PKD expresses in his books, I couldn't help but use some of those ideas for group. It was an opportunity ripe for possibility, and I was excited. I walk into the rough house thinking about these ideas and getting lost in the possibilities. I am obsessed with literature, and I am obsessed with writers, and I am obsessed with PKD and sci fi. So, full of enthusiasm and energy, I present my ideas to the group, focusing on the psychology of Philip's sci fi ideas and sharing one of his short stories with the group. But it isn't long before one of the clients completely derails me. He says, I don't like what you are talking about in your groups. I just want to talk about recovery, but all of these things that you share are irrelevant to my treatment. I don't get what it has to do with anything, and I don't like it. He says more, but I'm already on the defense. I cave in. I stop listening. My therapist once told me that the reason why addicts struggle to maintain an open mind is because the use of substances and the desire to use restrict your point of view and make your psychology and experience and curiosity super narrow, priming you to want only the drug, placing you in survival mode rather than self actualization mode. Yet I can't help but get hurt at what this person is saying because I was really excited to talk about something out there and interesting and fascinating and mind bending rather than just focusing on dry, clinical, boring work, which I would certainly do if that's what the peers really want. Well, let's just try this story, and if we don't like it, we can do something else. If you're looking for things that are specifically helpful for your recovery, we can always bring in more DBT, and I know that there are a lot of good coping skills that we can learn about. There's a lot of good information out there for recovery. But let's just try this. It is already over in my mind. I have already become super discouraged, and I know that it is showing, and I can't even hide it. My state of mind is obvious to the peers. Here I was excited to show how someone who struggled with substances wrote a book that was literally all about his recovery, as it was Philip's attempt to write a book that doesn't celebrate drug use, but instead modeled sobriety. He often wrote about his experiences with mental illness, with substance use, and one could argue that's what his whole corpus of writing focused on. I honestly can't think of any writer who would be more relevant to recovery, but I also don't get to decide what people say and do and think. So, focusing on the story and my bubble completely burst, I continue the lesson anyway. One peer, however, says that he loves what we are going over in group. I talked about Ernest Becker and the denial of death in previous groups, and people had very negative reactions about that whole lesson plan. But nonetheless, some clients are listening, and I have to remember that not everybody walks away without anything useful whenever they attend my groups. We read the story and then we head back inside, and there is more and more derailment and negativity. Another peer who I have had a lot of problems with before says that she agrees with the other peer about how they don't like it either. Why are we doing this? She asks. What's the point of going over this? What does that have to do with anything? Well, I say, trying to swallow my pride and be patient, Philip Kindred is a kindred spirit to all of us because he struggled with addiction and mental illness, and I just wanted to show you a different perspective, someone who has gone through similar things all of you have, and who found a way to use his art as a way to express himself and deal with it. My goal here is to show you different things and show you the world. You can't isolate from the world or insulate yourself, it all bleeds in. That's all well and good, but I'm all about recovery, the other client says. I don't see why you need to bring stuff from the world. I think this stuff is very strange and weird, and I don't like it. I don't think it's very positive. My theory, I continue, despite the endless negative backlash, is that we can use what we have learned in life and bring that into treatment because of the way that it can help us understand ourselves a little bit better. It might seem random that I find a writer that I like that I want to share with you, but one thing I learned in my training was being able to use the tools I have and to bring what I bring to the table, which is very much focused on recovery, the theory of which is being able to show you what has helped me in my recovery, which might ultimately help you. My theory could be wrong, of course, where maybe I am focusing too much on my subjective perspective and am out of touch with all of you, but I do take this job very seriously, and I only want to bring the highest quality of work to all of you. Don't even trip, Phoenix, one of the peers says encouragingly. I like your groups, and I like what you bring, and I think it is really good. I have been in a lot of intense encounters in the rough house before, but this so far seems to trump anything that I've been through so far. I am shaking and nervous and feel attacked, and feel like I just come to work every day to have my ideas ripped apart. Something that should have been fun and lighthearted and stimulating in all the best ways becomes this big deal, to where it seems nobody wants to contribute or participate. I have to remind myself that some people have gotten something out of this, which is one of the main reasons for showing something like this in the first place. That is amazing to me that I can have such extreme emotions where I'm feeling actually a little bit frightened and vulnerable by this encounter, but also feeling inspired by good writers and literature and by people who are trying to learn from what I have to say in group. It was just a simple story, one of the peers tells me later. I think it was good. I think they were just really closed off to it. So yeah, there's the excerpt from the chapter Double Mind from my latest book, Roughhouse. I hope that you'll check out my Substack. I hope that you'll check out the excerpt, and I hope that you'll check out my books and my new book, Roughhouse. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope that you'll check out my other videos on my channel. I hope that you'll check out my music as well. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.